Hey guys, we've got some interesting stuff today. A couple of new items, and I'm going to show you the not new items first. Same razor I've been using lately with the same B open comb base plate on this Karve Christopher Bradley. I have hand polished the top cap and the portion there and the end cap, but everything else is the bead blasted original finish on this brass razor. Really like it. When I put a nice sharp blade in there, then even the open comb, this is a very good proof that open comb doesn't always mean aggressive. It often will mean more aggressive than the exact same razor model in solid bar. But you can't compare one open comb to another solid bar of a different model because there's just too many other factors at play. This has a smaller gap than probably many of the open combs out there, so this is a smooth shaver, for me at least. Inside it, I haven't put one of my favorite budget blades. You can get a ton of these Wilkinson swords, and I wrote India because this particular pack is one that you get from India. There is a black plastic one, and it has the word classic under the Wilkinson sword logo on the little tuck, a little box they came in. This one's been used about 4 or 5 times, and this is my marathon blade, so I went ahead and marked it with an M. And the German ones are the ones that have the word classic on there, and this is just kind of a blue chevron or something with white and a little red stripe or something like that. And this one is a great budget blade for me. It doesn't perform super top tier, but you get a ton of them for just several dollars. And I haven't put it yet into my Chris Bradley razor. So this is the brass one. They have a stainless steel one that's been out for a few months now, and it should be the same head design and all that stuff. The stainless steel one should last longer in theory, and for instance, it's possible if you were to drop this guy hard enough. Brass is just a little softer metal, so these corner ones, these corner tines could possibly get bent or something like that, where that would be unlikely with a stainless steel razor. Here's the brush. It's a Shavemac, and it's very interesting the way it feels. I just whipped up kind of a basic palm lather with it with a bar of soap just to kind of break it in, clean it off from the travels because I just got it in. Love Your Shave is the maker of the handle, apparently. And it's got a lot of density here. This, as you can see, this band of dark coloring is not going all the way to the handle. You can see a pretty good light colored band here. So this is a 3-band. Now, they call this one a Silvertip. They also call this one a Silvertip. And so most other brush manufacturers, and this is a Shavemac as well, most other brush manufacturers will not call a 2-band knot a Silvertip. But this just goes to show you the term Silvertip, finest, super, best. You know, all these terms are Manchurian. They're all relative. They're all totally decided by the manufacturer. There's no standard across the brushes. So you can't compare and say, well, I want a super badger, and so I'm going to look at all the different people's super badgers and assume that they're all going to be equal, and it's just not the case at all. So this is a Silvertip Shavemac. Obviously, this is the fan-shaped knot, but this is the 2-band Silvertip. Well, this is the 3-band, and man, I might have to think on how I'm going to describe the way it feels to you. It does have the flexibility there. See how it'll just keep its shape and bend, but it almost seems like the hairs are just a little thicker, and the tips are not as soft as the 2-band there, maybe because the 2-band's been treated with a little bleach to soften those tips. So I'm very interested to see how this guy works. I have another Silvertip. This is a 3-band from Golden Nib, and it actually squeezes pretty small compared to this guy. This guy's more dense, and also this one has a lot less backbone, probably because the density. Usually I get density not when I go the 3-band route. I get density when I go the 2-band route, the finest badger. And so this is interesting because I've got the density with a 3-band, and so it's giving me a little bit more resistance, and it doesn't have very much, as you can see, much spring back, into shape. So I wonder how this is going to feel on my face. We're going to try it out. Okay, so I did a little test lather with it. I'm going to put it back in the water just in case it needs more time in there. Hopefully the previous owner didn't put conditioner on it. Sometimes that can block the hairs from being able to do their job well. The soap we're going to use is another new thing. So that brush is one of the new things. The Czech and Speake, I assume I'm pronouncing that right, is a company and over in the UK. And the number 88 is the scent. And it's an expensive soap. Well, I got a great deal on this one because no doubt somebody bought the refill puck. It's the front of the refill puck box, I'm sure. And then they maybe graded it and then they pressed it into one of these normal tubs. It's interesting the way it smells. The scent notes for it are the top notes of bergamot. And then maybe in the middle we have geranium, rose otto. Never heard of the otto part for rose. Frangipani, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And then in the base, we have vetiver and sandalwood. So some of these notes I really enjoy. So we'll see what comes out in the lather. The scent from here doesn't really dazzle me too much off the dry puck, but sometimes it's a little weak off the dry puck. I mean, this smells just, it's rather weak. It's not all that interesting. I've definitely smelled this on some other much less expensive soaps. I have heard that Velabra is the company that does the soap base, and then Czech and Speake is the company that provides the scent. In which case, I know I'm going to enjoy the performance of this soap because I'm a big Velabra fan. All right, so let's get on with it and try this guy out. I have been wanting to try out Czech and Speake for a while just to see how they live up to that extra price tag because, man, their stuff is crazy expensive. And I didn't pay anything near what they want me to pay. Okay. Now, something else that's, what am I picking up? Probably something floral like the geranium. I don't know what frangipani is. Maybe a little bit of the vetiver, I think. Not really any sandalwood. Not really any orange or bergamot. Maybe a touch of the bergamot, but not an orange part of it. So, now, another new thing. While the Czech and Speake may be an expensive soap, and Shavemacs may be kind of expensive brushes, this lather bowl is not expensive. $3. And I'm going to bet that it's possible that this bowl will outperform many $30 lather bowls out there. Or at least perform just as well for just $3. In America, we have a place called the Dollar Tree. Everything in the store is $1. These are soup bowls, salad or soup bowls. Notice how they're not shallow. They do have a vertical portion to the bowl's shape here. They're fairly deep, 2.5 inches, something like that. If you watch my channel very much, you've seen my Roger Quintero bowl that I enjoy a lot. And this bowl is, pretty much the same dimension as that. And so that's kind of how big it is. So that means this guy may be 5 1/4 or something like that interior diameter. It doesn't have that nice inturned lip that the Quintero bowl, of course, has, because it wasn't designed for that. But here's what I did. $1 for the bowl. I bought a $1 tube of adhesive in the Dollar Tree. I then bought a $1 bag of these glass marbles that had been kind of squished down, and no doubt you used them in glass vases as decorator components. Well, I glued them to the bottom of the bowl. So they're going to help to agitate the lather, the soap, and everything. They're going to help to keep the brush from slipping down into the lather and getting the handle all messy. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes. Now, this is a Dollar Tree adhesive. It was a brand name, as I recall, and it said it did okay in water. So that may be the weak part of this equation. I have let it cure for 3 days or so. So that should be plenty of time. I'm looking forward to seeing how this works. So for $3, this might be one of the best lather bowls you can get for that price. All right. If you like your lather bowls like I like mine. Hey, let's tilt you down a little bit. You don't need to see my forehead as much as the lather I'm going to be whipping up. All right. So I want to get my face a little wet as a pre-shave. It's cold here, so I am bringing up warm water just to kind of make it tepid. All right, let's load up. I have no idea how this soap is going to go. If it's been sitting for a while, it also could be hard to lather up. So let's give it a nice long load. Why not 50 seconds? This is a soft brush. I also don't know how it's going to act. If I end up with too much lather, so be it. So I'm going to shake out a good bit of the water. We'll leave it lightly wet. And we're rolling around right at the minute point right there. So let's just get in here, get to it. So yeah, this the Shavemac knot here, it doesn't spring back to the original position. It doesn't have that kind of retention of shape. It'll just lay over and stay laid over. So that'll be interesting to see how that works in the shave. So yeah, even with just a little bit of water, we are getting a bubbly, airy lather right away, kind of a proto lather coming up. Okay, that's 40 seconds. Medium pressure here. The center of the, and that's 50 seconds. The center of the knot definitely seems to, it's very strange. It doesn't have enough backbone to spring back up into shape, but it feels kind of thick. And so that's an interesting combination here. All right, I'm going to clean off the puck. Not the inside of the container, just the threads. I turn it upside down and I get it off the outside here. I just leave what's on the inside there to dry during the shave, and I'll cap it at the end of the shave. But the good news is, it's such a popular question. What people are wondering is, when should you cap up your soap? Should you leave it open to air dry? Should you cap it up right away? Is there a good or a bad? The kind of short answer is do whatever you want, because you'll find people on both camps. Some cap it up right away. Some leave it open all the time. Some leave it open for an hour. Some leave it open for 24 hours until the next shave, in which case they'll cap it up and then go get another soap, that sort of thing. But the point, one of the main factors is that it is a soap, and it's really hard for bacteria to live inside of a soap. And so you're probably going to be fine no matter what you do. So there's that. The other side might say, yes, but if there's water and if there's all these super fats, then it could go rancid. And if there's water, then mold could actually grow or something like that. And, I'm of that first camp where I just don't care too much. I do leave it open just for the period while I'm shaving, like from right now to the end of the shave. And then once I get done, I'll cap it up and take it and put it away. So sometimes it does get put away with a little bit of moisture in it. It's very interesting because the 3D printed bowl has textured inside. Because of the nature of the 3D printing, there are these tiny, tiny little ridges all over the place. And then, of course, we've got the spiral ridges coming from the center of the bowl that almost give it a flap, 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 type experience. And so the noise or lack of it with this bowl is quite noticeable. So the lather's looking really good right away. I don't feel any drag with the brush. That's one really nice thing, as opposed to the silicone bowls that I've tried recently. The timeless bowl also kind of gave me a little bit of a drag feeling. Now I just put 4 of these little beads in the bottom of this bowl. I mean, it's up to you. You could put however many you wanted in there. I was able to pick up this Shavemac brush for a really low price because I think I told you that the guy who had it previously discovered that it was really shedding, and sure enough, before the shave, after my test lather, I pulled out about 8 hairs easily, coming out almost like a balding middle-aged man. It would be cool if it just stopped shedding after a while and that was just some kind of temporary issue, but we'll just see. But it was such a low price, I thought, what a great way to try out the 3-band knot from Shavemac. Even if it's probably it looks like it's got a lot of density, still plenty of hairs to give a good many shaves, and so I believe I'll get my money's worth. Now look at this, it's definitely smoothed out. The lather's looking pretty good. It's got 2 teaspoons of water in it already. Might make me go back and visit my Velabra soaps. Let's feel. Oh yeah, that I'm pretty sure Velabra is the maker, and this is good. This is a slick base, creamy. Oh man, and the slickness is just top notch. Top notch. Oh, that is just good. I think this is reminding me of maybe the patchouli scent from Velabra. It's a hard soap. Velabra makes soft soaps as well as they have some hard pucks as well. But there's no patchouli listed in the scent list. I wonder if it's kind of the base, Well, I like the experience so far of lathering in this glass beaded bowl. Looks like it's generating the lather nicely. So if you want a quality performing lather bowl, may not look as nice as some other things. This is a $3 version where you can really experience what some of the textured bowls are providing people with bigger wallets. All right, man, this look at that. Now when it's that thin, you know what it means? It means there is a bristle, a hair that needs to be cleaned up. And yeah, those pebbles are acting nicely to keep the brush from slinking down. So that is working. Why don't we go ahead and lather up with this? Sometimes an extra creamy lather. I mean, maybe this is perfect, maybe it's extra creamy. Sometimes that'll help you to get a feel for the brush and how it behaves, because if you thin down the lather more to maybe the precise place, it's more realistic. But sometimes it's nice to be able to see the difference with a thick lather versus a properly hydrated lather. I think we are ready to go. I think I'm starting to pick out a little bit of the rose, maybe. But it's not offensive, it's not bothersome, it's not feminine. But those other notes that I mentioned, the sandalwood seems pretty hidden. And there's not a strong orange scent, and so bergamot, if it is a component of bitter orange, then maybe that bitterness might be, coming through okay. All right, let's try this guy out. Wet my face before applying lather. Here we go. See how this Shavemac 3-band feels. Well, it is definitely not splaying out. The firmer brushes kind of stay in that opened splay even when you move them around your face. This guy does not do that. Just kind of wads up into a ball. Now, that gives a certain kind of feel. It's almost like a massagey but still soft feel. So I'm very interested in continuing to try this brush out. I wonder if it's like a Simpson and actually requires some use to break in. On my neck, when I'm just going back and forth, it almost feels like just kind of a wad of hair that's just a ball. But then when I get up here and I do larger circles, it starts to feel more like a conventional shave brush. Soft and enjoyable. Now, look, we're kind of generating lather there. I think we need a little bit more water in this brush. Because on my face, it's feeling just a little pasty. Well, then this brush looks like it's not going to have a problem receiving the water. It's nice, at least, that Czech and Speake does go to a quality, there's another bristle, go to a quality manufacturer of the soap so that at least they put their scent in a really good, well-designed soap base. Whereas some of the other British makers of history, the 3 T's, Trumper, Taylor of Old Bond Street, and True Fit and Hill have all outsourced their hard puck production to kind of a less quality company. It's still reasonable, but it's kind of overpriced because you kind of sorry, paying for the name, but you're not getting that name's soap. You're getting somebody else's soap. Now, maybe you want to pay that much for the scent, and I can see that, but you're kind of getting ripped off in terms of the soap base. So this soap and Velabra is just so good that it can take quite a bit of extra water. And so, yeah, what did I put in? Like an extra half, and now I'm at a little over 1 teaspoon out of this particular syringe. And the lather is definitely not too wet yet. Anyway, let's shave with this. Okay, one more addition of water there. Man, this is a good soap base. Yeah, let's go with that. Probably still could go with more water, but let's just do it. And yeah, we're definitely getting a good many bristles coming loose. But that's okay. In this case, I got what I paid for. It's given me a great perspective on how the Shavemac 3-band will behave if I was ever interested in searching for another brush that maybe wasn't shed normal 24-hour worth of growth. I'm not experiencing any tugging. It's not slicing through the hairs like butter. That's okay. It's still comfortable. And this is definitely a budget blade. This is the one that I bought from, this is back before I even knew about all the different forums and things like that. I bought off Amazon. I was thinking maybe I'd like 40 blades, 20 blades, 30, something like that. And I looked at somebody who was selling about that many. Now the scent is kind of coming on a little stronger now. And I looked at the price, and then for like $2 more, I think for $6 I could get 20 blades or something like that. But then for $2 more, I could get 100, right? So I couldn't hold back from that, and I got 100. All right. Now, I was able to put so much water on my face that I now have used four teaspoons of water in the lather. Let's put another half in. Shoot, why don't we put even more in? So now we've got 5 teaspoons used in the lather, and let's just kind of consolidate that, mix it all up. Maybe I overwatered it, who knows? If I did, then that'll give me a good idea of how this brush would handle that. Some brushes you do not want to overwater because it really brings out the roughness, the lack of softness that the brush might have. I was a little skeptical as to this design of handle, but I'm really, it's working. I'm enjoying it, even when it's kind of soapy. This the valley part here is a good for my hands. It's working well. Not going to complain at all about that. Man, Velabra is so good. I'm liking this bowl. I really am. All right. Now let's show you consistency we have. It's a lot more hydrated than it was earlier. See that peak there just folded right over and collapsed. And see how that, look at that. Very, very elastic. Many soaps you wouldn't be able to enjoy this shave very much, because when it's that wet, it would just have broken down and not really provide the lubrication. But I'm gambling on Velabra and its quality being able to hold on and make this a very good lather. I think Velabra is Italian, not sure. All right. Oh yeah, I didn't even rinse from before. Okay, let's try this guy out then. I mean, that's a delicious looking lather right there. You know, with the way this brush was feeling, how it would just flop over and not really return, something interesting is happening. It's just it's almost like it's being a ball, but it's a soft, comfortable ball. Now it doesn't, it doesn't seem like I'm working with the tips of the knot in many cases. The individual hair tips I think I'm working with the sides and in many cases, but it's interesting. Definitely have to put this guy through a good many shaves and see what I find I like about it. I didn't need to scrub that much. I just wanted to kind of work the lather and also keep evaluating the brush. Yeah, this lather is not too thin, not too watery. And we've got a lot of it, so I don't mind kind of leaving it a little thick in some parts of my face. I'm going to also rinse off the handle here so I can keep a good grip on it. Multicolored handle. A lot of people like those multicolors, and I usually stick to a certain theme or a certain side of the color wheel. See, if you think of a lot of football teams, so many of those colors are on opposite sides of the color wheel, and that causes a little bit of a tension. It causes contrast. Whereas, so you've got yellow, blue, red. Blue and red make purple. So that's why sometimes you'll see yellow and purple used on sports teams, because those are exactly opposite. They're contrasting, and it creates that tension I was talking about, kind of a visual, emotional tension. Whereas if you have blue and red together, that's more calming, that sort of thing. And you can do that with all the different opposite points on the wheel. So we've got, that's the opposite of yellow. Blue is going to be the combination of red and yellow, which is orange. So blue and orange. And we've definitely got some football teams out there, the Denver Broncos, for instance. Some teams out there with blue and orange, the contrasting there. And then the red, and then yellow and blue over here is green. So red and green are contrasting colors. And so then when you have a brush that has all sorts of colors, it's got these smooth colors like blues and greens, but then bam, you've got a gold and something bright, then that's going to cause a little bit of color tension like I was talking about. Whereas if you have a bunch of bright things, yellow and stuff, now this one doesn't have too much red. So that's just, not my style, but I don't really care too much. I just mainly think about the ergonomics of the handle, but I thought I'd mention that because the color wheel there might help somebody. At least you might understand why some of those sports teams choose the colors that they do. All right. Man, this lather feels great on the face. And I expect this blade now to, be nice and smooth. Just a little blade feel, but no big deal. I'm glad I added as much water as I did, because this is great. And I think this soap could actually take even a little more water if I wanted to. But I believe this, could possibly be a perfect lather consistency, at least for my preferences. Very nice. Good slickness. Yep. So I can see somebody paying for this soap. The great thing is they're getting a high performance soap because of the Velabra base. And so at least they're getting a really, really nice base for their money's worth. And so they're paying for the scent. Now, I'm not impressed by this scent. I've smelled this scent before in a $13, $15 tub of soap. So maybe it's old and something's been missing from the scent, but anyway, we'll roll on. The scent, I believe, came from, that I'm remembering, kind of maybe related to the Velabra patchouli, but also perhaps some LA Shaving Company soaps like maybe Vert Noir or Black Fern, something like that maybe. My memory could be failing me, but those are jumping into my head. So this brush definitely has kind of a mop feel to it. And that might be a feel that, you know, some people want. It's comfortable. It seems to be handling the lather fairly well. Maybe you don't want that wall of badger super softness feel that some of the two bands now that are super popular, like the Maggard SHD, the Sterling Finest, Declaration Knots, you know, those kind of things. Yeah, this lather's terrific. Look at that. It's creamy. Here, let's get a little finger full here. Creamy, but yeah, that's well hydrated. And I like the fact that you can go a little drier and still be fine. This is a really well hydrated lather. It is still slick. The soap hasn't broken down. The layer of slickness that's attached to me, to my skin, is not going away as my thumb moves across it. Yet it's not so thick that it's going to block the blade and keep you from getting close enough, is my guess. And it doesn't have an airy feeling. It just has a nice creamy feel that's just top notch. Man, that's good stuff. I might have to dig out my old pucks of Velabra, normal Velabra, and whip those up and bring those to a shave. All right. Yeah, face feels great. This is my third pass on my face now, and I've got 3 passes in there. So like Velabra, a little goes a long way with this base as well. So you don't have to load it for a very long time. And it took 5 teaspoons of water. Okay, so cross grain again on my cheeks. Most of that has been taken care of. You know, if you shave kind of like me and you don't really go against the grain, one thing you could try is this. Here I have it. Let's see, can you see that well? I think so. This would be a normal cross grain stroke for me. The handle is in the direction of my movement. My hair grows from the top down in this location. So something I can do to add a slight against the grain aspect to it. I could just tilt like that, but I could also tilt my razor, lift the handle of my razor up so that as I move across my face, the razor is tilted. Some call that the Gillette slide. And so that adds kind of a slicing motion to your cutting. And sometimes that can give you an edge. That can take your shave up to the next level. I encourage you to try it and see if it works for you. If you're wanting to try that on maybe something more akin to a with the grain pass, so like right here, instead of just going straight down, you know, on a with the grain, you could just do a diagonal across that way. That's kind of a slicing as well. Or as you're going down, what you could do is tilt the blade, tilt the handle, pivot it just a little bit, and go straight down this way and have it at a slant as you go down. And so that's a couple different ways to try to achieve that. This scent is in play, and I like that. It's not, I thought it might be a weak scent, but it's not. I am definitely getting this during the shave, and I'm getting great protection because just now, that movement right there sometimes gives me a little irritation as I'm doing the cross grain in a different direction. But it felt really good. I think that's because of the razor and the soap and the blade being pretty good. Looks like that first pass is not as smooth as some of the other blades I've tried in this razor, but the second and third are tremendous, and you forget all about that first one. Yeah, what am I getting? It's almost like this scent is building up, and then now it's very available in my nose. It's got to be the florals, I think. Still not really a feminine floral. I think maybe some of those, maybe the vetiver is smoothing it out a little bit. The bergamot maybe as well. The geranium and the rose. Who knows what frangipani is? Maybe frangipani. Maybe I should look that up. Maybe I should have done that before the thing. And that could be making all the difference in the world. Who knows? All right, let me do a rinse. Let me go ahead and do a touch-up pass right here. But other than that, everything's looking pretty good. I'm disappointed in the scent. I was expecting something a little more sophisticated, something that I hadn't really smelled before. Keeping it light here. It's definitely better to come back again instead of, especially not bearing down with more pressure. You do not want to do that. Just if you have a problem area, try your angles. Try coming at it from any way you can possibly do it that seems comfortable, and find the one that cuts the closest. All right. Excellent. Now, the scent's not super macho or anything like that. It's kind of, green, natural, a little hint of the florals, but some things to ground it out, reasonably well. But there are a lot more that I probably like a little better than this. But very interesting. Very interesting. Love the base, so I knew it was going to be a win there. All right, let me rinse off the little touch-up spot. I'm definitely perceiving, I just had the bowl up in my nose, definitely perceiving the rose a little stronger than before. But the nice thing about rose is sometimes, depending on the way the fragrantier, the fragrancer, whatever the right word is, how they treat it, in many cases it can just help with a little bit of sweetness and almost flavor, and rather than something feminine and floral. So I thought it might be appropriate and beneficial to have the post-shave product be one of the pieces that is in the soap scent. Sandalwood. This is from Lather and Wood from years ago when they were on Amazon. And this is pretty much a straight, authentic American style sandalwood. Very woody with some spices, that sort of thing. I really enjoy it. And I think maybe as it bolsters the sandalwood part of the lather profile, it can take it in a nice direction. All right. You'll see a little, sometimes with these balms, you might see a little whiteness on your face. That's totally normal sometimes. It may mean you use too much, but just give yourself several minutes, and if it's gone after about 8 minutes or something like that, then you're fine. Like that. That's a good. Now, this, since I applied it right here, I've got lots of sandalwood right here, and so we can contrast. Yeah, those really work well together, and you can kind of expect that since we knew that was one of the scent notes. Very nice, very nice. I like, that's a really nice direction that takes this particular soap, at least for me. I could see maybe putting a small amount of some nice sandalwood, authentic sandalwood soap in with this, maybe mix around it, load a little bit, 10 seconds on a sandalwood, and then go to this puck and work it, to mix the fragrances a little bit. Anyway, very nice. Happy with that. So the Wilkinson sword did fairly well. I didn't expect it to work miracles because it's not an expensive blade. And so but it performed well. So I'm going to put it over here on my little drying area so I can pat those guys dry in just a little bit. All right. So very interesting, the Czech and Speake. And I've got tons of lather, guys. Definitely could reduce the load time by about half with this brush, And this guy's right here is an elastic lather. I mean, that is the way it should behave. It's terrific. It's not too wet. I'm really happy with the way these beads in the bottom of the bowl worked on the lather. It seemed to be just as fast as it should be. And it was nice sound as well, nice and quiet. So wow, just a big winner. Big winner with this shave, that's for sure. And this was just my first use with this knot. So I'm looking forward to seeing how, if the tips change very much, how it goes. And yeah, so this is what happens when you just kind of rinse the outside. See the middle? You've got to give it a good rinse. And that's why I like the lather bowls, because once you dump all the soap out, you can use this to rinse your brush. My sink has been used by my 9-year-old son, and it is, who knows what's going on in there. A dog poop or a frog or who knows what he's done. So let's look at this lather. Look at that. See that? Ladies and gentlemen, that is the way right there. Not supporting its own weight. It's light, but it's not airy light. It is creamy. This is exactly what I look for in my favorite lathers. My favorite soap bases. Look at that, see? Now, as you can see, you probably see some of the hairs from the, so that is affecting, right there, that's a hair right there. But it's not affecting it that much. This is a fantastic lather here. Yeah. Wow. That is what you want, ladies and gentlemen. At least that's what I want. If you want yours drier, I understand. You like yours wetter? I get that too. So enjoy what you enjoy. I try to teach and show you the landmarks I look for, because wherever you like to stop in the spectrum, you can find your own landmarks. And maybe some of mine, the milestones to look for, maybe some of mine can help you get to yours as well. All right, well, I'm going to clean up the gear. Oh yeah, the Sandalwood's working really well. That's a nice one. So I would assume that these tips just haven't been treated like the finest Badger has. They haven't been bleached out. Obviously, you can see the color difference. And so that may mean that this brush might last a lot longer because the tips haven't been weakened by that treatment. But it has a whole different feel. And I could see how somebody would want to move away from that type of feel. This guy here, they just spring back into position. Still could be perceived as floppy by many, but it's a floppiness that bounces back, and it does tend to keep those tips right at you. And so it's a very different feel. You're rarely feeling like the side of the bristles. This was the Golden Nib Silvertip. This is the premium grade, and I'm a big fan of that one. Whereas this one, when it folds over, see, it just doesn't really bounce back. And so you're probably feeling some of these guys here, and then the side of some of these bristles over here. And so if that is what you enjoy, if you like the fact that this knot's probably not going to change for, a decade or two, then this type of knot may be good for you. I'm going to enjoy playing with it, trying it out with different soaps, seeing how I like that feel, because it doesn't keep this all over your face. It almost like it wads up a little bit, but that wad is still rather comfortable and massagey and enjoyable to a degree. It's just different. And so that'll be fun playing around, see if I like that. I'm grateful for the opportunity for this one. So, oh yeah, I keep getting whiffs of that sandalwood as I'm moving around. So again, here is I just put 4. It seemed to work really well. I was thinking mainly about where I wanted to put them. If I put them too close to the edge, they might not hold the brushes to keep them from sliding in. Now you can see some of the glue areas around. Those are not perfectly smooth, and so I might try to minimize that if I ever did this again. Put a smaller glue dot between, on the pebbles as I pushed everything in. And one little detail, because this bowl, the bottom is not perfectly flat, and I'm happy about that. But that means that, and that's why you see on the inside of this glass bead here, you see that bubble, that the flat piece of glue is because these rocks would go in toward the middle from all the outsides as they were sitting and drying, because the glue was acting like a lubrication almost. And so what I had to do is keep pushing them back out a few millimeters back to where they should be as the glue dried, and eventually it dried enough to where I didn't have to help it anymore. So I'm a big fan. I'm a really big fan of this bowl here. And I love the fact that people can get a high-performing bowl for just $3 or so. Very cool. And of course, you could add the glue and the glass beads to any shaped bowl, as long as it had a flat enough bottom. You could just put them, and as a matter of fact, you might be able to, with the different types of glue or epoxy, you could potentially put them on the other surfaces of the bowl as well. Although I don't think I would do that myself. So 5 teaspoons of water used. There was a little bit of drippage as I was kind of adjusting things during that first pass, so some of that got wasted. But 50-second load, 5 teaspoons of water is kind of the ratio that went down today with a lightly wet brush. Nice shave. I feel good. Face feels good. No irritation, anything like that. Oh yeah, that touch-up pass did a great job. Very happy with that. So the cheap blade comes through. Wilkinson sword, the ones made in India. Very, very good shave today. Well, I tried a bunch of variables today, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but most of these were wins today. The soap performed super well. The brush, while it felt a little odd, it still was enjoyable. And almost, because of its different feel, almost took me to a different place. I definitely think it feels similar to many of the Badger brushes of days gone by, instead of the kind of advanced ones we have right now that are just really focus on these tips and the softness and all that. The Wilkinson sword blade was a tremendous piece in this razor. Did very well, better than I really thought, especially when I did the touch-up, and the closeness was where it was. So big win there. And the Sandalwood post-shave, perfect addition to kind of transition from the green and the florals. Kind of a rough green, not a pungent green. It's kind of a medium scent. It's not bitter, but it's also not super smooth and sweet. It's kind of right in the middle there. At least the way I'm perceiving it. So the only negative was a little bit of disappointment with the scent. I was just hoping for something different, and I believe I've kind of said that already. So, but very happy. I'm going to keep this Czech and Speake soap around. Maybe I'll do a Velabra and Czech and Speake back and forth just to see if the soap base, kind of feels the same. But man, this soap base, I would really rank it up there with my number 1 or number 2. I really would. Barrister and Man, Declaration Grooming Bison is one of my favorites. And this is just as good, maybe even a little better in what I'm looking for in a soap base. The creaminess was just, even when I added more water to it, it was just such a good feeling. And then it translated well on the face with comfort as well as protection. And so this is truly one of my favorite bases. And thank you to Velabra for that. All right. Well, I sure learned a lot today. I did. And that's pretty cool. I had a good day too today on the work front. And so this is just a good cap off of the day. So I sure hope there was something here that has helped you out. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You take care. Good night.